All right, everyone, welcome to our microaggressions training. And today you're going to learn how to identify, interrupt, and prevent microaggressions. So as suggested by the name, microaggressions seem small, but compounded over time, they can have a harmful impact on an employee's experience, physical health, and psychological well-being. So a microaggression is defined as a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group. So marginalized groups, some example of what that could be are the BIPOC community, that's the Black, Indigenous people of color, people with disabilities, immigrants, refugees, and I apologize, there's a typo here, the LGBTQI plus community. So research suggests that the subtle forms of interpersonal discrimination, like microaggressions, are at least as harmful as the more overt expressions of discrimination. So I don't want you to be confused when you see that micro in front to think that just because it has micro and micro means small, that it doesn't mean that it isn't very harmful. Relay is just beginning its journey on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we as a community at Relay need to start to learn how to talk about some of these tough topics. And really, we expect and encourage more of our marginalized employees to feel more safe and comfortable speaking up about their experiences and being able to go to their supervisors or whoever they feel comfortable with to let them know if they are experiencing things like microaggressions in the workplace. So today, like I said, we are going to learn how to identify, interrupt, and then prevent microaggressions. All right. So the first part of this is learning to identify what a microaggression is. You heard what the definition was, but now I'm going to put up some common examples of microaggressions that people have experienced, not only in the workplace, but in society in general. So it's important to know that this list is not exhaustive or extensive, and there are many, many more examples that I could share. You know, I have not only experienced some of these microaggressions myself, but I can honestly say that in the past, when I was younger, I may have been someone that actually did a microaggression to someone. And it's only through learning about this that I realized that I had done that myself, on top of experiencing them. So here is a list of common microaggressions. Like I said, this is not extensive, this is not exhaustive. You know, you can base them off of things, race, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, religion, and class. Okay, so let's just go through just a couple. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can kind of read to see what the microaggression is and what the message being sent is when that microaggression occurs. So when someone says, when I look at you, I don't see color, or you know what, I don't see color, which was a popular kind of statement in the 1980s. I remember growing up as a kid I was taught not to say that. But actually, when you do say that, you're actually denying a person of color's racial and ethnic experiences. You know, a common one of touching a person of color's hair. I know I've talked to some people of color and they said this is an experience that they have, that people feel that they are entitled, or there's entitlement that allows someone to touch someone else's body when you touch a person of color's hair. Because many times, you know, white people do not experience someone just coming up to them randomly and having someone touch their hair, right? So there's definitely inequity within there. In gender, continually misusing someone's pronouns. Of course, mistakes can be made around gender pronouns, but really a continued misuse of someone's pronouns is really saying, your gender identity is not important. Under sexual orientation, I identify as being a part of the LGBTQI plus community, identify as a queer man, and I can say that I've experienced both of these. Someone saying to me, I don't mind gay people, I just don't like when they put it on display. Something like that is showing that the LGBTQI plus experience may be abnormal, for example. Or, and someone said this to me, who's the man or who's the woman in the relationship? And that implies that a normal, quote unquote, normal relationship must involve a man or a woman. Going on a little bit more on a disability, maybe when without someone asking, someone helps a person with a disability on a train. And that's really saying you can't function independently, for example, and so on and so on. So these are just some examples of, and if you're comfortable at the end of the training today, if there's any microaggressions you may have experienced, please, add to the discussion when we go into the breakout sessions. So the first part after identifying what a microaggression is being able to interrupt it or stop it, right? So there's a couple things that you can do. You can repeat back to the person giving the microaggression what they said. So you could say something like, what I heard you say was blank, is this correct? A lot of times when you repeat back what someone says, they may catch that what they said could have been harmful. You can ask for more clarifying information. You can be direct with someone. What you just said to me is hurtful, here is why. Or you can use an empathetic approach like, I used to say something similar, but learned that it was harmful to others when I said it that way. Maybe we should try saying it this way. And also reporting microaggressions. So remember here at Relay that we have a 0 tolerance for harassment and will actively enforce our policy. And microaggressions could, especially if they're repeated, fall within the framework of our anti-harassment policy. I don't want you to think you have to memorize this, everybody. I will be handing out a worksheet to help, guide you through that has all this information on it. And then ultimately, we want to be able to prevent microaggressions from happening in the workplace. So the first part is recognizing that microaggressions are real and that they may occur frequently in the workplace and that employees are likely to experience them. We want to foster a safe and supportive environment that encourages employees to share their experiences. We want to champion how we work together commitments, understanding that our differences make us stronger and our differences are beautiful. And that equity, diversity, and inclusion training opportunities for employees all across Relay. So just like this here today, that you're having this opportunity to sit here and learn about these topics and then discuss them afterwards. So moving on, that was if you're experiencing a microaggression, if you see a microaggression occurring, but what happens if you're the one who committed the microaggression and someone comes up to you and confronts you about something that you may have said? Well, remember that intent does not matter when you have caused someone harm with your words, actions, or inactions. So you may not have intended to have harmed that person, but you still did. So the first thing you want to do is try not to get defensive when someone comes up to you and says, hey, what you just said hurt me. So don't say things like, I didn't mean it like that, to dismiss that person's experience, or that was not my intention. What we want to do is acknowledge the impact that we've had on them. Believe them, believe that what you said was harmful. Reflect on that impact that you've caused and open your mind to consider views different than your own. And then be accountable for your words, actions, and inactions, regardless of your intent, okay? And so here are some phrases that you can use if someone calls you out for a microaggression. or just cause you out for any sort of harm that you may have caused through your words or actions. And these phrases really help to build communication and repair instead of being defensive and just shutting down, dismissing that person's experience. So you could say something like, I hear you. How can I make this right? I apologize. I'm going to try and do better. Or thank you for letting me know. I recognize that I have work to do.